I say, the labour market has held up remarkably well so far. If that continues, things may stay pretty buoyant in the near term. Similarly, if borrowing costs remain very low, that will help as well. And these ongoing shifts in preferences due to the pandemic should also continue to keep activity fairly buoyant. But there are some things that suggest things may well cool in the quarters ahead, with this uncertainty about the Omicron variant, which you've already mentioned. And even if the economy holds up well, it may be the case that interest rates do rise. That may cool the market. And fundamentally, because house prices have been rising so much faster than earnings, a lot of affordability metrics now are a lot less favourable than they were before the pandemic struck. So it's harder for first-time buyers to get a deposit. Mortgage payments as a share of take-home pay are now above the long-run average. So those things may weigh on activity as well.
Yeah, you've preempted my next question, Robert. I mean, how worried should we be about the fact that the house price to earnings ratio is now approaching an all-time high?
That does make raising a deposit for first-time buyers. I mean, that was a big challenge before the pandemic. It's got even larger. So if you look at a 10% deposit on a typical first-time buy home, that's now more than 55% of total annual earnings, which is a huge sum. Pandemic savings obviously rose. Deposits increased significantly during the pandemic, but most of that accrued to older, wealthier households. So not going to help many first-time buyers directly. So that's quite tricky. And similarly, if you look at typical mortgage payments as a share of take-home pay, before the pandemic, it was below the long-run average at around 27% of take-home pay. Now it's above the long-run average. It's 32% of take-home pay. So that's another squeeze. And as we look around the country again, before the pandemic struck, only in London was affordability sort of above the long-run average. Now that's the case in more than half of the regions of the UK. It's become less affordable in most parts of the UK relative to that long-run average.
Now, Robert, you touched just now on the possibility of a rise in interest rates, which we're obviously expecting between now and the end of February. I mean, to what extent would rates have to rise for it to really throw grit in the wheel of the housing market?
So for existing borrowers, the impact is likely to be very modest. So if you look at the share of stock of mortgages that are on variable rates, that's at all-time lows, about 20% of the stock. That's all that's on variable rates. And also, if you look at the increases that we're likely to see, the impact on people should be fairly modest. So, for example, on a typical mortgage, if bank rate goes up to 0.5, so 40 basis point increase in typical mortgage payments, that on a normal average balance for those on variable rates, it's normally an increase of about £30 a month, so £625 a year. Obviously, if bank rate then rises to say 1%. Which markets are pricing over the next 12 months. That's a bigger increase, about £65 a month. But again, hopefully manageable for most people, not least because mortgage affordability testing has become such an integral part of the lending process over the last 10 years or so. And only about 10% of mortgage holders in 2019 had quite large payments as a share of take-home pay. So again, hopefully that will all mean that householders can manage with any increase in interest rates, not least because if interest rates go up, it's hopefully because the economy is doing well, things are normalising, and all they're doing is taking away some of that additional support that the economy needed during the pandemic.
All right, Robert, thanks for joining me this morning. It's much appreciated.
Thanks very much.
Now, new clearing banks, those which provide clearing services to other banks via systems such as faster payments and BACS, don't come along very often. The first purpose-built clearing bank to open in the UK in more than 250 years was Clearbank in 2017. But the Bank of England has just handed a licence to another, Bank of London, which launched this week. Well, joining me now is Anthony Watson. He is founder and Group Chief Executive of the Bank of London. Anthony, very good morning to you. This is quite a complicated subject. You better explain what services you're actually providing.
Well, first of all, good morning, and thank you so much for having me on the show today. So clearing banking, as you very eloquently described, is the process of moving money on behalf of other institutions or indeed UK PLC. That goes through UK faster payments, BACS or CHAPS in the UK. In the case of Europe, it's SEPA. In the case of the US, is ACH or chips in the US. So it's a complicated, nuanced market that not many people understand. If you look at more broadly, there are four principal banks, clearing banks in the UK, and they move about £100 trillion annually on behalf of us all. It's quite a complicated, quite an expensive process today. And the risks that these institutions, we would argue, pose, given their significant balance sheets, and their liabilities is significant when you're just moving value from point A to point B. So our model in the marketplace is to offer clearing, payments, settlement services, offer embedded platform as a service, banking services, and offer what is called traditionally global transaction banking, which is trade finance, which is cash management, which is FX. And it's a proposition we believe, certainly the feedback we've had so far is resonating quite well in the UK.
But to be quite clear, you aren't offering services to direct to consumers. That's
correct. Our clients are other banks, financial services firms, major corporations, governments, SMEs, etc. We don't directly interface with a consumer.
Now, you've just made reference to the fact that there are some very, very entrenched players in this market, the likes of Barclays, Lloyds, HSBC and NatWest and so forth. What makes you think that this is a market ripe for disruption?
Because of the costs and the complexity that these institutions pose to other institutions. For example, if you're not a tier one bank like a Barclays or Lloyds, your biggest risk as a tier 2, 3, 4 player in the UK is your intermediate relationship with the institution you do business with. If you take a HSBC, which is a 3 trillion, I think, balance sheet, it's got a 15% tier 1 capital. In a really basic sense, they haven't really shored up their balance sheet since the great financial crisis. So anyone who does business in certainly large volumes of cash movement with these institutions is exposed to their capital and balance sheet liabilities, and that makes no sense in a modern world. Certainly, when you're moving value at the speed of the internet, yet you have these legacy constraints behind you, which are non-performing capital that's just trapped around the world and nostro vostro floats. It makes no sense, and so we believe we have a very compelling offering, and we have 9 patents behind what we do as well. So whilst we will be entering a market that we believe actually hasn't got very much competition in the first place. Like 4 institutions principally moving £100 trillion is bonkers in today's modern age. If you look at that in a wider aperture, in the EU, there are about 24 institutions that move 724 trillion euros, and in the US there are about 44 institutions that move 1,500 trillion. So if you think about it, that's about $2.5 quadrillion is moved by less than 100 institutions. And we don't believe that's a sustainable model, certainly in a modern world, and it needs disruption, and we believe we're the player to bring that.
But realistically, though, are you capable of disrupting the inertia that there is with customers? I mean, it's like the old saying used to be, no one ever got fired for buying IBM. No one's ever going to get fired for putting their transactions through Lloyds or NatWest.
Well, you say that, but they almost brought the country to its knees. So if you look at Lloyds in particular, we had to bail them out. We still haven't paid Lloyds off. If another financial crisis happens in the next 12 to 18 months, which a lot of market participants are speculating, if Lloyds has a balance sheet issue, for example, the government will have to step in and bail them out or let them fail, like any free market economy functions. In our case, because we have over 100% tier 1 capital and we have 100% non-leveraged balance sheet, whilst we carry risks like any other company that has operational risk, we don't have the same balance sheet or capital risks that those legacy or heritage institutions carry with them. So we believe we would be the safest bank in that context.
Now, you've been valued in your latest funding round at $1.1 billion. What's the sort of pathway to profitability looking like?
It's very promising. We've had, in just in the last 24 hours since we've launched yesterday, over 700 direct requests from institutions in the UK and outside the UK about offering our products and services to them. And we haven't really started offering anything in the marketplace yet. There are about 58,000 FCA authorized firms in the UK. There are only 325 banks, I think, approximately in the UK. So we think we have got a very compelling offering, and we're very surprised by the massive and very quick reach out to us in the last 24 hours. We've been very quiet over the last four and a half years. Up until yesterday, you wouldn't have read anything about us. We purposefully hired the best economists, the best technologists, the best bankers, and worked just quietly in the background, building our proposition, validating our patents, validating our business model with the PRA, the Bank of England's Prudential Regulatory Authority, and also the FCA. We view this as a marathon, not a race. And so we're very comfortable entering the marketplace in a very measured and controlled way.
OK, now you're looking to hire 3,000 people, most of whom initially will be in the UK. What sort of people are you after?
We're after bankers, technologists, we're after economists, and we're after innovators. So if you go to our website today, thebankoflondon.com, you'll see we have a very specific aperture. We look at hiring people. We also want to change the face of banking. Traditionally, it's been controlled by straight white men, and we would like to upend the system from a hiring perspective and make it more inclusive and more diverse.
I should point out you are the first openly gay CEO of a bank right now, I think. Anthony, got to leave it there. Good to talk to you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Well, still to come here on Ian King Live, we'll take a look at how global markets are doing this Wednesday morning. Don't go away.
So the Christmas Meal Appeal is a fantastic initiative launched by Social Bite, Food Cycle and Just Eat. And basically, they're encouraging all of us to get involved by donating either £3, £5 or £10 when we order our takeaways. Very easy. And not only that, when you do so, they will actually match your donation pound for pound. So it's an absolutely fantastic initiative and I am honoured to be involved.
Food Cycle is an organisation where we provide community meals up and down the country for people who might be low-income families, might be older people who live alone, it could be people who have physical or mental ill health. And effectively, we bring people together over a really lovely, warm and welcoming meal, make people have a fantastic time and really enjoy, for some people, the only warm meal they may have in a week. What we do is we rescue surplus food, so this is an environmental benefit as well. We bring it to a community kitchen space, and that's where the magic takes place. We have the most incredible volunteers who turn it into a delightful 3-course meal, and then we welcome guests through our door, and I mentioned who those guests may be. It's really nice that we're able to provide joy throughout the year, not just for Christmas, but clearly over the Christmas period, we will be serving the equivalent of 200,000 meals across our centres.
You know, it's the festive season. We've all had a bit of a disappointing Christmas last year, but I do think we're all feeling much more charitable. And it's not just me who thinks this. There's actually a report recently that states that we are, you know, most of us are feeling much more charitable, and we want to help. We want to know how can we do that.
Well, Wall Street sold off last night after the US Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell told US Congress that America's central bank could withdraw stimulus measures earlier than expected. But as you can see, markets in the Asia-Pacific region have largely traded to the upside overnight. There were gains in Hong Kong, Shanghai, Mumbai and Tokyo, only Sydney trading to the downside. Well, markets in Europe have also traded to the upside since the opening a couple of hours ago or so. Here's the current picture, all of them up by 1% or more, 1.5% nearly in the case of most of them. Talking points this morning include Husqvarna, that's the world's biggest maker of power gardening tools. Its shares are up by more than 4% in Stockholm this morning after it raised its financial targets for the year. Well, here in London, the FTSE 100 is also firmly in positive territory, up nearly 1.4%, as you can see there. 98 points to the good. It's a broad-based rally. A lot of the stocks that were heavily sold off earlier in the week have bounced back quite smartly. They're led by International Airlines, the owner of British Airways and Aer Lingus, and Whitbread, the owner of Premier Inns. Both of those up quite smartly this morning. Another blue-chip gainer to mention is Mondi, the packaging group. Its shares ahead by more than 4% right now on the back of some director buying. Well, outside the FTSE, the power generator Drax, you might recall seeing the CEO on this programme a few times over the years, well, their shares are ahead by more than 6% right now. That is on news that it expects this year's results to be towards the top end of City expectations. Well, a few of the stocks, again, sold heavily in recent sessions, have had a bit of a bounce this morning. They're led by Cineworld, EasyJet and Wizz Air. On the foreign exchange markets, well, the pound fell to a new 11-month low last night against the US dollar after those comments from Jay Powell. As you can see, sterling is up by just over 1/10% right now against both the dollar and the euro. As for the oil price, well, that's also rebounded. There was a really sharp sell-off yesterday ahead of a two-day meeting between OPEC and its allies on whether to go ahead with production increases. Well, that rally means that a barrel of Brent crude will currently cost you some $72.39 a barrel. That is up just over 4.5%. Well, joining me now is Ian Quigley. He's investment manager at Brewin Dolphin. He joins me now live from Dublin. Ian, very good morning to you. I mean, looking at the markets generally this morning, it seems investors are being a lot more sanguine about the impact of Omicron.
Yeah, good morning, Ian. Yeah, it was interesting to see yesterday evening. Obviously, market was quite weak following Jay Powell's Jerome Powell, apologies, testimony in terms of perhaps the Fed accelerating the tapering of bond purchases. But I think that perhaps the realization this morning is that that's generally a positive news story in terms of he's only doing so because the economy is recovering and inflation is higher a little bit because the economy is recovering, and kind of looking forward and looking through that a little bit, fully in the knowledge that as they look to withdraw some of the extraordinary monetary accommodation, they'll be looking to do so in a pretty methodical and a pretty slow way. Clearly, COVID concerns are still with us. Markets are very volatile around that on a day-to-day basis, and it's obviously too early to draw any kind of conclusions there. But clearly today, the way markets are reacting and taking a glass half full attitude towards or approach towards markets.
Ian, I mean, in terms of what Jay Powell said last night, I mean, the takeaway basically is that QE is going to come to an end in the US possibly 3 months earlier than it would have done otherwise. I mean, is that really that dramatic a shift in policy stance? No,
it's not. And perhaps, we given how much emphasis has been placed on central banks over the past few years, there can be a tendency to perhaps overreact to kind of relatively minor adjustments. Again, I think it's just signaling that the economy is getting better. Ordinarily, it would be pretty extraordinary to think that the Federal Reserve would be still buying bonds in the environment that we're seeing. So, yeah, I think it's just, as you say, something that we really should expect. We should expect them to gradually remove some of the support to the economy because the economy is quite strong.
Now, the key message, of course, was that he said we should stop using this word transitory to describe inflation. In other words, inflation is here to stay. I mean, that has implications not only for the Fed, but also for the Bank of England and the European Central Bank.
Yeah, obviously transitory being the word of the year when it comes to inflation, and it is sticking a little bit, albeit when you look at some of the market-based indicators of inflation, it's suggesting perhaps that some of the higher year-over-year inflation numbers that we have been seeing are likely to start reducing. So inflation pressures or inflation expectations are shifting a little bit lower. And I think that's just logical and something that we should expect. And generally, central bankers, whether it's the Bank of England, the ECB, or the Federal Reserve, have been, whilst perhaps they won't use the word transitory anymore, they have been emphasising that there is a year-over-year effect, and that inflation, that high levels of inflation that we've seen this year, should reduce next year.
Ian, I wonder who you think has the biggest challenge right now, because obviously the Bank of England has got into a bit of hot water for sort of hinting towards a rate rise last month and then not delivering on it. But in the ECB right now, I mean, you've got Germany, biggest economy in the Eurozone, inflation running at 6%. I mean, ordinarily, that would really put pressure on the ECB to tighten policy.
Yeah, and the German orthodoxy, generally, not to wish to stereotype too much, but generally the German perspective on this has been one whereby we do see inflation ticking up a little bit to remove monetary accommodation very quickly. Of course, if we look back to the euro crisis in 2011, 2012, interest rates were increased at the time because inflation was ticking a little bit higher, largely driven down to the oil price. And I think, with the benefit of hindsight, that was a mistake. So I think this is a very different European Central Bank, and that will likely move in a much more gradual fashion and recognise that if you look at inflation over the past decade, Eurozone inflation has been way below where they would have been targeting. So there's potential to allow inflation to run a little higher on a kind of catch-up premise or catch-up basis, which is something perhaps the Federal Reserve led central bankers in terms of their thinking last year.
All right, Ian, before I let you go, any reflections on the oil price right now? I mean, the oil price has come off very, very dramatically over the last month or so. I mean, it looks like the market's pricing in a complete collapse in demand. Has the sell-off been overdone?
I don't. I'd love to have a strong view on the oil price. I don't, unfortunately. Clearly, between the various different stakeholders or machinations between OPEC, and then you've supply and demand, and you've got this whole dynamic of the economy restarting from a standstill, and obviously then a shift arguably away from what I think it is somewhat of a complex one given the various different moving parts. But oil becomes a problem from an inflation perspective if it particularly increases and becomes a drag and becomes effectively a tax on the economy. Yeah, I think we're a bit away from that, so I'm not overly concerned about the oil price.
All right, Ian Quigley, good to talk to you today. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Ian.
Well, still to come here on Ian King Live. Warnings that COP26 deals to cut methane emissions are being undermined by global meat and dairy producers. Don't go away.
It is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hello, lovely listeners. Tune in to the renewed show with Charlotte. Make it a date to listen to me this and every Thursday at 5 p.m. on Starr Radio UK. Tune in to an hour of power, an hour of encouragement, an hour to inspire you to stay positive and strong in this season. See you there and listen.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of digging the hole of darkness.
So what did that?
Myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on The CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Prampram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Prampram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com. Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Hey there, this is Archie, and it is Starr Radio UK and the morning show.
it's roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
This is Starr Radio UK. In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
Like Eskimos, everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe helps to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa Claus is on his way. He's bringing lots of toys for them to play, and every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering the simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry, Merry Christmas to you. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the hills we go, laughing all the way.
this is Starr Radio UK.
Oh, what fun to laugh and sing a sleighing song tonight. Hey, jingle bells.
Okay, and that is how I welcome you to the first day of December, the year 2021, with a time now exactly at 10:40. Well, we are back in the season once again, the Christmas season. And I want to say jingle bell, Merry Christmas and happy New Year to you. A happy new month to you. The 1st of December, the year 2021. Special good morning to Shina Yusuf. He says, good morning, happy new month to you. Shina, I hope you are doing very, very well. May God open the heavens for you that every desire of your heart will come to pass.
Christmas bells are ringing.
But I'm saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth. Those of you on other planets as well, we salute you all and we welcome you to the Wednesday edition of the morning show.
Christmas bells are ringing.
Let me say good morning to my colleagues.
Christmas bells are ringing.
Mr. Frank Davis, Mr. Laimi Koiki Kojodi, Mr. Francis Gayi, my able producer, and Felix all the way in Aberdeen. Massive good morning to you all, gentlemen, and to all presenters on Starr Radio UK. I salute you all, I salute you all, I salute you all. When it's getting to the end of
This is Caribbean Vibes.
The season like that, you feel that thing within you. But I hope that a new month and a new day, and we have to make it great. Well, a special good morning to my listeners in the US, those of you in Asia, those of you in Europe, those of you in Australia, those of you on the African continent. I say a massive good morning to you all, and welcome to the show.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let us.
Well, joy to the world, and I welcome you to the Wednesday edition of the morning show. Of course, I remain yours sincerely.
This is the morning show with Archie.
And let me say good morning to all presenters on Starr Radio UK. I cherish you greatly for all your support and all the good work that you are all doing. To management, we salute you all. Thank you very much for the support as well. To all the producers as well, I say a massive good morning to you all.
On the tree. Christmas Eve will fall.
Okay, so on the Wednesday edition of the morning show, those of you who knows it, but for those of you who have just joined us for the first time, This is how it goes. I'm going to bring you the quote for the day, the weather forecast will follow suit, then the travel update as well. We'll move on from there to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe, known as global trotting. And then from there, we have a look at a sneak view of what is happening in Nigeria, what is happening in other parts of the world. And then at 11:30, the lines are open for you to add your voice to the discussions. But then we'll move on from there exactly at
for the holidays. For no matter how far.
12 o'clock, I'll be taking you straight to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. So as I would say, in a gist, that is what is going to be happening today. So wherever you are, stay tuned. Don't you go away. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
I met a man who lives in Port of Spain, and he was heading for
San
Fernando and
So let's move on straight to the quote of the day. It says, anyone can be nice to those who are nice, but the person who can be nice to those who aren't will be more blessed by God. Anyone can be nice to those who are nice. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, it's automatic. If somebody's nice to you, hello. But when somebody's not nice to you and you are doing your best to be nice to the person, he said, those are the ones that God will bless. Okay? Yes. Starr Radio UK, 10:45 the time. Let's move on straight to the weather forecast. Let me tell you what is the weather is going to be like today.
no matter how far away you roam. If you really
Well, spells of heavy rain, thicker cloud will arrive from the north this afternoon, clearing southwards into the evening, remaining quite breezy and feeling cool. This evening, we will any lingering spots of rain will soon clear. It will then become dry with prolonged clear spells overnight, a cold night, and clear skies with a moderate breeze expected as well. Well, the top temperature is going to be 11 degrees, the lower is going to be -1. UV level is going to be low, pollution is going to be low, sunset is going to be at 15:55, and sunrise for tomorrow morning, 07:43 hours. That brings us to the end of the weather forecast. Starr Radio UK. Yes, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
down the stairs to have
We're going to take a quick break, and once we come back, I'll bring you the travel updates. But don't you worry, there's going to be more of the Christmas tunes there for you to enjoy. But remember, it is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Hello, lovely listeners. Tune in to the renewed show with Charlotte. Make it a date to listen to me this and every Thursday at 5 p.m. on Starr Radio UK. Tune in to an hour of power, an hour of encouragement, an hour to inspire you to stay positive and strong in this season. See you there and listen.
Check it out. This is Starr Radio UK.
Yes, so keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads. I will keep you navigated. I promise I'll be on the Starr Radio UK travel update. Come to where every weekday from 10:40. It's now 10:42. And what is your travels like this morning? Keep your eyes on the roads. Well, on the underground this morning, the Metropolitan line has got severe delays between Harrow on the Hill and Amersham, Chesham, Watford due to an earlier signal failure at Chalfont and Latimer. Tickets are being accepted on local buses and Chiltern Railways. The next service to depart Amersham, Chesham and Watford will be at 10:48, 10:56 and 10:44 respectively. But it's good service on the rest of the line. Now straight on to the Piccadilly line. The Piccadilly line also have got no service between Rayners Lane and Uxbridge. Minor delays between Acton Town and Rayners Lane due to difficult track conditions caused by significant leaf fall. Please use the Metropolitan line to complete your journey. Good service on the rest of the line. But keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads. I will keep you navigated. I promise. Our bond. Now moving on straight to the riverbank this morning. Apart from the Woolwich Ferry, all the others have got good service for you. But remember to keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads, and we'll keep you navigated. I promise. Our bond. Check it out. Now moving on straight to the National Rail this morning. On the National Rail, cross country has got severe delays. First Trans-Pennine Express minor delays. Gatwick Express special service, Great Western Railway special service, London North Eastern Railway special service, Northern Rail special service, Southwestern Railway special service, Southeastern special service, Southern special service, Transport for Wales special service there as well. But keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads, because you're gonna tell what exactly is going to happen. But we promise you, we will help you navigate your way through the day. Now on the final segment of the travel update, that is the major routes in London. A12 has got closures, A4 closures, Central London red routes closures there as well. That aside, all the others, no exceptional delays. You can zoom through it like a hot knife in butter. So enjoy your commute for today, as I would say all the time. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you. Enjoy your commute for today, but you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the road.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hello, lovely listeners. Tune in to the renewed show with Charlotte. Make it a date to listen to me this and every Thursday at 5 p.m. on Starr Radio UK. Tune in to an hour of power, an hour of encouragement, an hour to inspire you to stay positive and strong in this season. See you there and listen.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agent, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Santa Claus underneath the mistletoe last night. She didn't see me creep down the stairs to have a peep. She thought that I was tucked up in my bedroom fast asleep. That's when I suddenly tickle Santa Claus underneath his beard so snowy white. What a laugh it would have been if my daddy had only seen Mommy kissing Santa Claus last night.
This is Caribbean Vibes.
Okay, so welcome back to the program. Yes, I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus, but the little girl, little did he or she know that well, it was the dad who was dressed as Santa Claus. Okay, so I want to take this opportunity to welcome you once again to the program, the Starr Radio UK Morning Show. Of course, I am Archie.
I saw Mommy tickle Santa Claus underneath.
And once again,
so slowly.
welcome to the show. Share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones. It's now time for us to go global trotting. Like I said, I feel the Christmas mood. Woo! The first day of December. And that's where Starr Radio UK starts its Christmas bash. Alright then.
The red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose.
Okay, so whilst we have the music playing in the background, let's move on straight to some of the stories making the rounds today. As I say all the time, get yourself a hot or cold drink, whichever is appropriate. And then if you're standing, hold on to something. If you're sitting like me, sit very comfortably. Make sure you are well seated. And let's go global trotting. It could be bumpy, but however, you are short of one thing. Arrive safely at your destination. Alright then, let's take a quick dive. Now, UK races to expand booster rollout amid Omicron fears. Now, hospital pharmacists and GPs will be called upon in a bid to offer the vaccines to as many people as possible. So what is going to be the plan? Are they going to be pop-up centers here and there and wherever you go? And therefore, anybody who's working in town might be saying, come on, have you taken it? Not yet, come on. I think that would be the way forward. Well, by the time the NHS boosts the booster program, the race is on to give boosters to all adults in England, but there are big logistical issues to overcome. Those are some of the questions the stories making the rounds there. And family spending predicted to rise 1,700 a year. Monthly spend over Christmas expected to increase by 109 according to projections on Panorama, a BBC program. What do you think? Are you going to be spending that much? All that I want from you is your time. Yeah? Okay, so let's move on. No need to cancel Christmas party plans. That's what Javed is saying. That's the health secretary. Gatherings can go ahead, but people should be cautious and also get booster jabs. Health secretary says. Now, which of them are you going to do? Are you going to heck into that? Or are you going to be, hey, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I'm going to stay away. What do you think? Now, survivor hunted by deadliest channel crossing. Mohammed Isa Omar, one of the two survivors of last week's disaster, tells how he saw people drown. Those are some of the stories making the rounds here in the UK. But moving on straight to other parts of the world as well, bringing you global trotting. World Health Organization says unvaccinated vulnerable should avoid travel. It urges those who are unwell and the over 60s to delay international travel to areas with community transmission. And then moving on to the US, Mike Pence calls for curtailed abortion rights. The former vice president spoke on the eve of the most important abortion case in years at the top US court. I'll be bringing you more on that front as well. Epstein pilot testifies that he flew Prince Andrew. The pedophile financier pilot tells a court he flew Bill Clinton and Donald Trump on the jet. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now, student fatally shoots 3 in Michigan school. Now, police allege the suspect, a 15-year-old student, used a gun his father had bought days earlier. Oh my God. Oh my God. What is going on up there? Well, and a U.S. author apologizes to man cleared of her rape. Anthony Broadwater spent 16 years in prison after being wrongly convicted of raping Alice Sebold. That's a sad one, you know. Somebody's life, 16 years of it, washed off like that. And the stigma that comes with it. Though he's been cleared now, how many people? I mean, some people knew that he was, thought that he was a rapist until they died. They've taken it away. Others might have left the particular place. Friends that he might have lost because of that accusation. Well, we'll see what will happen on that front. We're following it very, very closely. Okay, and then some other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. In Europe, we have a multi-billion EU bid to challenge China. Global Gateway Plan is seen as an attempt to counter Chinese influence in Africa and beyond. What global gateway plan are they talking about? Well, everybody wants to scramble on Africa and just take their bite from there. But what do you think is going to be? The woman who became Sweden's first female prime minister twice, Magdalena Andersson's rise to power has been high political drama, but the finale may be yet to come. What finale? Well, Italy football fan banned for slapping reporter. An Italy football fan has been banned for slapping a reporter. Greta Beccaglia reported the man to the police after the incident outside the stadium in Florence. There are some stories making the round. Omicron variant in Europe earlier than thought. The new COVID-19 variant is found in Dutch samples taken before it was reported by South Africa. So, do we ban the Dutch as well? Well, they say, well, the South Africans said they discovered that and then push. We say we are banning every flight from South Africa, people traveling from South Africa until we know that much. Are we going to ban those in the Dutch area as well? The Netherlands, are we going to ban them? Okay, Greece to find over 60s who refuse COVID vaccine. Oh my goodness. Fines of €100 or 85 pounds will be imposed from mid-January, with the money going towards healthcare. If you are over 60 and you fail to take your vaccine, they will fine you for that. So if you find me and I say don't take it, what do you do? That is a question that some people will be asking, but it is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Hundreds of Taiwanese extradited to China, a report is saying. A human rights group says the practice is being used to bolster Chinese influence abroad. Why have they been extradited to China? Have they got an extraditory treaty with them? Okay, we'll be following that as well, especially knowing that the stance of the Chinese pertaining to Taiwan, where they say, well, you are part of us, whether you like it or not, and we are coming after you, coming pretty soon. What do you think? Okay, Islamists against Mohammed Khartoum's stage comeback. The release of the TLP leader and supporters could have far-reaching implications in Pakistan and beyond. There are some stories making the rounds in Asia. Okay. Down the Middle East, yes, inside the city at the heart of Yemen's dirty war, as one of the stories that have been captured there. And then Israel to ban foreigners from entering over COVID. Well, so some stories there as well. Moving on straight to the African continent, 3 minutes past the top of the hour. Dozens, including peoples, die in Nigeria, boat tragedy. I'll be bringing you more on that when I bring you updates from Nigeria, and why Gambians won't stop voting with marbles. The Gambia has witnessed a flourishing of democracy, but its curious election system remains unchanged. And they said they're not going to stop that. We're going to be looking at it. Maybe it helps. Why not? A herbal healer convinced me I was HIV negative. Now, huge progress has been made in treatment, prevention, and understanding of HIV, but falsehood still hurts people living with it. It is Starr Radio UK. Zimbabwe reimposes COVID lockdown measures, and Muwendwa steps aside at Kenya FA amid fraud charges. Nick Muwendwa steps aside as president of Football Kenya Federation FKF after being charged with 4 counts of fraud. And then Lesotho ex-prime minister charged with murdering his wife. Thomas Tabeng denies organizing the killings of his estranged wife. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. The second scramble for Africa. As I said, what does the scramble between major powers for influence in Africa and its resources means for our own people? I'll be bringing you more on that front. It is All Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And then Africa marks World AIDS Day with warning. Well, is it up or down? And then some other stories have also been captured about the Lesotho former prime minister accused of murder. The old man decided to murder the wife. Benin's band of teenage girls fight for women and children's rights. The idea of the multi-instrumentalist Andrea Balo Gemon was to launch a music school open only to young girls. This group is made of only 7, and if they bash, my goodness, you will love the music. It's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. Kenyan president praises economic performance. Africa marks World AIDS Day with a warning. South Africa newly rely on Wi-Fi hotspots amid high costs of data. Well, so you are there, they come and stand behind your house, and then but if you are like us, what we put it got security on it, how do you get into it? Well, it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Now, Lagos Governor slams CNN for negative comments narrative. I will bring you more on that front. I mean, and then Buhari promises to support women in fight against gender-based violence. A lot more going to be coming your way from Nigeria in the next few moments. But moving on to Ghana as well, all parliamentary decisions will be subjected to votes. No more consensus. That's what the minority is saying. Well, yesterday something untoward happened. What they did was that the majority decided now to vote the budget into vote to accept the budget. But 2022 budget, bargaining conduct, assault on democracy, fixing the country movement are saying, and the minority has no alternative to 2022 budget. But we'll be bringing you more on that front as well. Well, some story coming through. We are investigating alleged impersonation of Adwoa Safo in Parliament. That's what Ablakwa is saying. There's somebody who looks like Adwoa Safo enter Parliament to vote with the majority to say that, well, we got a majority. Or what exactly took place there? We'll be bringing you more on that front. Wow, Africa. It never changes, does it? Well, maybe Adwoa Safo has got a an impersonator. Okay, well, we'll see. Who looks like Adwoa Safo? If you look like Adwoa Safo, I think you are in trouble now. And then 2022 budget approval has implications for Ghanaians. That's what Manasseh is saying. But some are saying that, well, the budget, the e-levy, we are going to now reduce it to 1.5. Now, the people are saying we don't even want it. It's the poor people. Now, so raise the cap so that at least if somebody spends up to or is transferring maybe up to 500 Ghana cedis or 1,000 Ghana cedis, then they have to now pay something. But not the poor man who is just sending 100. My God. Well, it is All Starr Radio UK. A lot more going to be coming your way from here. Don't you go away. Just stay with me. We'll take a quick break, some lovely music, and then we'll continue with the show. Stay tuned. Don't go away.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
He's up to something I may not see it, but still I'm trusting. God is working, He is working.
All around the world. In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
God is working. Tell you everybody. He's up to something I may not see it. Still I'm trusting. 'Cause God is working, working, working. God is working, working, working.
Okay, welcome back to the program. It is Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Something good for you. God is working, and I know He's doing something that I might not see it, you may not see it, but behind the scenes, I tell you shortly, God is doing something in your life and in my life. The last day of the last month of the year, the first day of the last month, and I can tell you shortly, I know for sure He is God, and none and nobody can change His purpose. And whatever you are supposed to have, oh God, it should definitely come to pass. Okay, some music there for you. I hope you are enjoying the show. It's now a quarter past 11, and it is now time for me to bring you some of the other stories making the rounds in Nigeria today. Okay, a couple of them quite interesting one, because we don't have the time today. We'll try to expedite it. We'll try to a very quick one. Then tomorrow, God willing, we'll have time to look into detail some of the stories that is making the rounds in Nigeria today. Okay. Now, the first of the story talks about Lagos governor slams CNN for negative government narrative. The story says Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu said that CNN nor any foreign media will change negatively the government narrative. During a press briefing at the Alausas Government House on Tuesday, addressing the protests in the state. The protest, which demanded an end to police brutality and SARS, was rooted in a report released in October 2020 by the media network that hinted at the shooting by the Nigerian army towards peaceful protesters at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos. However, the report was discredited by the country's federal government. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, claimed CNN was desperate and releasing fake news. Now, the report gained the public's attention again as it was recently released by the Lagos NSAS panel as a means to investigate the killing at the Lekki toll gate and other cases of police brutality. As the report revealed that the Nigerian army and police did fire live bullets there as well. At the press conference, Sanwo-Olu also mentioned a work for peace next month as an attempt to establish reconciliation. Let me use this occasion to extend an open invitation to our youth, members of the diplomatic corps, civil society groups, students, and the media, as well as other stakeholders to join me, the governor said. The idea, however, received scorn from the public. Falana Falls, a Nigerian entertainer, described it as a disrespectful and a joke. Meanwhile, Debo Adebayo, another entertainer, thinks reconciliation attempts should start with the implementation of the judicial panel report. And of course, if you have not, come up with a white paper about anything, they say, oh, guys, we've accused this particular group of blah blah blah, but you know what, I just want you all to come with us and let's go for a peaceful march. And you think that will sort out the situation? I beg to differ. It is All Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now let's move on to some of the other stories making the rounds. Buhari promises to support women in fight against gender-based violence. Okay, the President Muhammadu Buhari has promised that he will support women in combating gender-based violence. Presidential media aide Mr. Femi Adesina revealed that the president made a promise while receiving Minister of Women's Affairs, Dame Pauline Tallen. Women are the bedrock of the society and are largely responsible for stabilizing the home front, the president said. My faith in the capability of Nigerian women remains steadfast, as exemplified by the key positions they occupy in the present administration. I assure you that I will always be here for you, and you can count on my support in your activities. Earlier, the president was told by Ms. Tallen about various activities her ministry had and would conduct as women observe the 16th day of activism against gender-based violence against women and girls from November 25 to December 10. It has been reported that sexual and gender-based violence had become a crisis in Nigeria. It was revealed by the 2018 Nigeria Demographic and Health Survey that 30% of girls and women aged between 15 and 49 had endured various forms of sexual assault. Wow, 30%. That is on the higher side. My goodness. Well, so that's what they said there. It is all coming your way. Starr Radio UK. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, both ferrying students capsized, 20 died and 15 are said to be missing. Now, Governor Abdullahi Ganduje of Kano State has expressed shock over the Tuesday evening Bagwai boat mishap that led to the death of 20 persons. 15 passengers are still missing, according to Kano government. Based on the information received this morning, there are 20 deaths. Mr. Ganduje explained in a statement issued on Wednesday by his chief press secretary, Abba Anwar. 7 persons have been admitted to the hospital, and another 8 others were found this morning. The rescue operation is still going on. He added that Bagwai boat mishap, which so far caused the death of 20 people, as rescue operations still on. Is a state tragedy. According to the statement, the boat took off from Hayin Badu to Bagwai with the passengers on their way to attend the Maulud celebrations. The boat was ferrying about 50 people with some loads. It capsized because of overloading. Most of the passengers were Islamia students, the statement said. Now, you've killed people. You know, when it comes to our part of the world, I can see at times some of these trucks, at times they are loaded to such extent that you can see somebody lying on top when they get into where maybe there are cables, like electricity cables or telephone cables crossing the road. Then these people have to use a pole or something to move the cable so that the vehicle can go underneath it. Now the question is, even with that one, assuming it's not that heavy, okay, assuming it's not that heavy, but the height, why don't we make sure that, the police, somebody will say, well, you know the answer already. They will just stand there alone, watch everything just pass by, so far as they've got something in their hands, in their pockets, they think that is okay. But look at the lives that have been lost. Well, it's coming your way. Starr Radio UK, update from Nigeria, 11:22 the time, the morning show, the program. Okay, now, one other story before we bring the update to a close. And this is a breaking story that is coming. Unvaccinated civil servants barred from Federal Secretariat. Now, civil servants who have no proof of COVID-19 vaccination and negative PCR tests are currently being denied access into the Federal Secretariat in Abuja. Now, recall that the federal government had in October 2021 warned that civil servants who are yet to be vaccinated against COVID-19 will not be allowed into public offices from December 1, 2021. However, the Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria asked the federal government to extend the deadline till March next year. Now, my question here is that have they been offered the vaccine at all? Have they been offered the vaccine at all? Well, we'll be looking into that as the days unfold. Maybe there'll be a U-turn since senior civil servants have actually commented on that as well. Well, a former aviation minister, Femi Fani-Kayode, has come under attack for insisting that he was never arrested by operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Now, the Daily Post had reported that Fani-Kayode was rearrested by EFCC on Tuesday over alleged document falsification. Fani-Kayode, alongside others, is standing trial over alleged 4 1.6 billion naira money laundering alongside Nenandi Osman, a former Minister of State for Finance. According to the report, Fani Kayode was arrested on Tuesday after proceedings at the Federal High Court in Ikoyi, Lagos. However, in a tweet on his verified Twitter handle, the former minister denied the arrest, saying he was only invited by the anti-graft agency. Once again, in a quote, he said, "I was invited to the EFCC today. Once again, despite media reports, I was not arrested but invited. I got there at 11 a.m. and I have just been released. Thanks be to God," he tweeted. But some Nigerians who stormed the comment section to express themselves lambasted him for denying the arrest, stressing that he is contradicting himself. Below are some of the comments as compiled by some correspondents. Now it's the FFK. You are contradicting yourself. You claim you weren't arrested by the EFCC, but you got released. This means you were brought in against your will, so therefore it is safe to say that you were arrested by the EFCC. This is also the second time, and it's beginning to raise a lot of red flags. Now, Anonzi Bryant, also on social media, said, "Not arrested but released. Let me assume it's the beating in the office of EFCC that has caused this." And then Jigo Casey also said, "Very soon they will send FFK to jail, and then FFK will write, 'I was invited by the prison warder at Kirikiri. He is my friend and my brother. I will just spend 15 years with him and they will release me. Thank God.'" And a lot more coming there. Well, it's all coming your way from Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, he said that he wasn't arrested. He went there on his own accord, and then after they finished, after all those hours of interrogation, he was then released. What do you think about that? Interesting. You cannot, if you have not been arrested, why are you released? It cannot release you because you have not been arrested in the first place. So you could say, "I left." Okay, well, it is all coming away from Star Radio UK. 11:26, the time, the morning show, the program, and this is where we bring the updates from Nigeria to a close. Don't you worry, tomorrow, God willing, we'll bring you more on that front. Because we are pressed with time, let's crack on straight onto some of the stories making the rounds here in the UK. That will be after this commercial break. Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 11:28. It's the Wednesday edition of the morning show, and therefore, exactly at 12 o'clock, we'll be taking to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. It's Christmas time. We are in the Christmas month, and those of you who are planning, we'll have time. We'll have time to have a proper look at the event for the Yuletide. Okay, but well, until then, let's continue with the program. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. All right then. Now, looking at some of the stories making the rounds here in the UK, let's go to that. Some of the stories making the rounds here in the UK. Just bear with me. Ding dang dang dang. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So let me announce the lines open. You want to join in the conversation, feel free to call me on 0208-133-2257 or 58, 0208-133-2257 or 58. Those of you in US or Canada, it is 00171830327337, 00171830327337, and you can text or WhatsApp me 0753966174, 0753966174. Our Twitter handle is Starr Radio UK, and email address is info@starradiouk.com, info@starradiouk.com. Get in touch before we bring the first part of the program to a close. So, in the UK front, no need to cancel Christmas party plans, says who? Sajid Javid, okay? Now, there is no need to call off Christmas parties despite the emergence of the Omicron variant, the health secretary has said, as he urged people to get a booster jab to fight COVID. Now, Sajid Javid said people who should consider measures such as taking COVID tests or wearing masks, face mask when socializing. But the NHS providers said some NHS trusts had asked staff not to mix in big groups in the run-up to Christmas. It comes amid an expansion of booster vaccination rollout. Now, Saffron Quadri, Deputy Chief Executive of the NHS providers, said that some trusts were setting an example by making that request to staff because of the potential threat to their health and what they will be available to do. Now, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has urged people to book in for their booster as soon as it's offered to them, and suggested that there was no reason that companies should be considering cancelling their annual staff Christmas parties. He said the government was taking a balanced and proportionate approach in response to the new variant. Now, UK Health Secretary Agency head Dr. Jenny Harris had said people should not socialize when we don't particularly need to. Now, what do you think? Which one are you going to adhere to? Is it the Prime Minister said, come on, everybody, let's just move on? But interestingly, you know why the dilemma of people? Because they said earlier on that once we have 2 jabs, we were okay to go, and everything was going to be okay. And now we are saying, there is another one, and therefore we are talking about booster jab. And people are like, confused.com, proper confused.com, proper confused.com. And what do you think about that? It's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. Now, moving on straight to some other stories making the rounds there as well. Some other stories making the rounds there as well. Let's quickly look at a couple from the UK front before we move on to other parts of the world. Well, yesterday I forgot to even ask my brother Felix about how the situation is like in Aberdeenshire due to the the storms that hit us last weekend. However, because he was able to call, that means that he was doing very, very well. But thousands of people in the north of England have spent a fortnight without electricity after Storm Owen left infrastructure devastated. Now, Northern Power Grid said 16,000 homes were still off, with almost about 6,000 electricity northwest customers also without power. Now, thousands in northeast, southern and central Scotland, Perthshire and Angus are also awaiting reconnections. Homes still without supply in North Wales are expected to be back on later. Okay, it's quite a troubling issue there, but Northern Power Grid described the damages as unprecedented. Now, the Electricity Northwest said it had reconnected more than 101,000 properties, but as repairs were made, more faults had been discovered and some customers might have to wait until Friday. Meanwhile, more than 150 properties in Derbyshire are still without power. Those are some of the stories making the rounds there on Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now let's move on to some other stories. One more from the UK front, and then we just quickly. Okay, one other, Zog Energy. So if you are with Zog Energy becomes latest firm to collapse in gas price crisis. Well, another energy supplier has collapsed amid an ongoing surge in gas prices, UK regulator Ofgem has said. Now, Zog Energy, which has about 11,700 domestic energy customers, ceased trading on Wednesday. It marks the latest company to go bust under higher wholesale gas prices, which have made price promises by companies unfeasible. Now, Ofgem will appoint a new supplier for the firm customers. In the meantime, customers should wait until their new supplier has been appointed before looking to switch elsewhere, it said. The energy watchdog added that taking a meter reading will also help smooth the process when Zog Energy's customers are contacted by their new supplier. So if you are with Zog Energy, ZOG, please be warned. That is what is happening. Your company or the company, your supplier, has gone bust. All right then. It's all coming over from Star Radio, okay? Now let's move on to other parts of the world. Let's see what is happening. The World Organization has said unvaccinated vulnerable people should avoid traveling. The World Organization has said people who were unwell or vulnerable should delay travel if they are not completely vaccinated. In its latest travel advisory, the UN agency includes in that category people over 60 and those with conditions like heart diseases, cancer and diabetes. An earlier WHO statement advised against all travel for this group. A corrected version specified that only those more vulnerable and not fully vaccinated should delay traveling. This is in line with the WHO's previous advice for traveling during the pandemic and comes amid concerns about a new Omicron variant. The WHO also restated its position that blanket travel bans do not prevent the spread of the variant. South Africa alerted the world about the variant last week and has been banned by lots of other countries. But it's all coming away from Star Radio UK with some stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. Now, I promise to touch on a couple of stories from the U.S. and then we go. Now, former U.S. Vice President Mike Pence has called on the Supreme Court to overturn the landmark 1973 Roe versus Wade case that legalized abortion in the U.S. Mr. Pence said the ruling was a misguided decision that harmed millions of unborn babies. If Roe and Wade is quashed, millions of women will lose access to abortions. On Wednesday, the Supreme Court will hear arguments over a Mississippi law banning abortions after 15 weeks. A ruling is expected by the next summer. The Mississippi ban includes abortions of pregnancies caused by rape or incest. The law, however, has not been enforced because of a legal challenge from the state's only abortion provider. At a news conference in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday, Mr. Pence said he hoped the Supreme Court will make history with a full reversal of Roe versus Wade's case. All right then. So it's all Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. The final story. Michigan school shooting. Student kills 3 and wounds 8. Stories there. A 15-year-old has killed 3 fellow students and injured 8 others, including a teacher, in a high school shooting in the U.S. state of Michigan. The victim had been named as Tate Mann, 16, Madison Baldwin, 17, and Hannah St. Juliana, 14. Officials say they do not know whether they were targeted. Now, police allege the suspect, people at the school, used a handgun that his father had bought on Friday. And the students have described hiding under desks during the attack. Some students had reportedly stayed at home on Tuesday because of safety concerns. Safety about what? The police received the first emergency calls from the high school in the town of Oxford, about 40 miles from Detroit, at local time, that is 1751 GMT. Now, within minutes, more than 100 calls had been placed to emergency services. Officials say the suspect surrendered 5 minutes after police were called when officers confronted the teenage in school corridor. No shots were fired during the arrest and the suspect was not injured. Police said, adding that he was carrying a semi-automatic handgun that still contained 7 rounds of ammunition at the time. The precise sequence of events remains unclear, but police said they believe the youth had carried the weapon into school in the backpack and had emerged from a bathroom brandishing the gun. Now, 3 students died in the attack. 2 girls, Madison Baldwin, Hannah St. Juliana, and Tate Mayer, who died in the local deputy's car before the officer could get him to the hospital. Now, more than 32,000 people have signed an online petition to rename the school stadium after Tate, who was one of Michigan's most promising young American footballers. It is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. It's a very, very sad situation there. So do you think that now there should be what did they call that? A check at a school entrance, metal detector or something of the sort, so that when they are coming in, you detect whether they have anything of the sort on them, so that you can protect the children? Or that one too has to fall on a deaf ear? Well, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 19 minutes to the top of the hour. We have one other story before we take a break and we continue. Well, Tel Aviv has been named the world's most expensive city to live in. It tops an index of 173 cities due to Israel's soaring currency and high local prices for goods. Oh my goodness. Well, okay, we'll see who will travel there. But we have what do you call that place, Dubai, where prices are high, but still we have people who go in there. It is still Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, that is a story. That is making the round this morning. And this pertains to China having an overwhelming power that seems to be troubling those in the West. With power are they wielding? They're wielding power, especially over Africa. The EU is to reveal details of a global investment plan that's widely seen as rival to China's Belt and Road Initiative. Now, insiders say it will set out concrete idea on digital transport, climate, and energy schemes. is regarded as part of the West's efforts to counter Chinese influence in Africa and elsewhere. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen will present the Global Gateway Initiative on Wednesday. The EU is looking at how it can leverage billions of euros drawn from member states' financial institutions and the private sector. Mrs. von der Leyen said in a State of the Union speech in September, we want investment in quality infrastructure connecting goods, people, and services around the world. Now, Wednesday's 14-page document isn't likely to explicitly pitch itself as a rival to Chinese strategy. The Commission also studiously avoided mentioning China when pressed about their plans on Tuesday. But Andrew Small, a senior transatlantic fellow at the German Marshall Fund, says the backdrop is inescapable. Global Gateway wouldn't exist if you didn't have Belt and Road. It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. We're going to be taking a break, and once we come back, we'll look at a couple of stories on the African continent, and we bring the program to a close and take you straight to the Houses of Parliament for the Prime Minister's Question Time. Stay tuned and don't you go away.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hello, lovely listeners. Tune in to the renewed show with Charlotte. Make it a date to listen to me this and every Thursday at 5 p.m. on Starr Radio UK. Tune in to an hour of power, an hour of encouragement, an hour to inspire you to stay positive and strong in this season. See you there and listen.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Welcome to Gabby Dave Global. We are the first of its kind with license to trade in African products. Some of the products are clothing brands and all beauty accessories, hair and beauty brands, natural aphrodisiacs, processed and dried unprocessed food. Our mission at Gabby Dave is to connect African and Caribbean businesses to customers globally. At Gabby Dave, we ensure our sellers get the best deal for their products. We are not just here to help you reach a wider audience. We are also a distribution center to support business growth by fulfilling orders to your customers from our warehouse, making sure customers receive their products on time. We are inviting all Black-owned businesses to trade on our platform because we strongly believe Africans have a unique brand the customer would appreciate globally. So get in touch today and let us make your product and business go far. Here are some of the benefits of using Gabby Dave Global. User-friendly platform, track your shipment, online support, transparent process, multiple SKUs, multiple products, a platform that encourages manufacturers as well as traders. Our marketing and PR interventions amplifies yours. Organized products and categories for easy access and navigation. Access to global community, especially within UK and Europe.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing you to the last segment of the program this morning. Yes, it's now 11 minutes to the top of the hour, and thank you very much to each and every one of you. Now, Gabby Dave will be throwing more light during the course of the week, and the weeks to come is a new platform where you want to trade, you want to be able to do your shipment and anything of the sort. We'll be having a rep from there, the boss lady herself, joining us sometime from either latter part from next week. We'll be having her joining us, and she'll be telling you more about that. But it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. We make sure that everything that we bring your way is something that will benefit you greatly. As I say all the time, it's something that will benefit you greatly. Now, the final announcement before I bring you some of the stories from Africa, and then we'll bring the first part of the program to a close. This pertains to BB Means Business, or BB Clement, let me put it that way. BB Clement is having a special program which we aired a snip view of it yesterday on BB Means Business. And what program is it? Well, here it is for you, and that pertains to how to build your own wealth. How to build your own wealth without leaving your day job. So join Dr. Remy Banjoko, who was on yesterday. He'll be talking about developing passive income through stocks and shares. And Bimbola Osagi, who was also on yesterday, and she's going to be talking about investing in property with very little money. That is quite interesting. And then we'll have Sandra Ramsey, who will be talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, what you need to know and how to profit from it. She'll be good. They'll all be telling you more about that. So join BB Clement, how to start a small business successfully. Yes. Make sure you join. She will be telling you, speaking on that front. So make sure you join them tomorrow, Saturday, the 4th of December, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The price is £99. Well, it was advertised earlier on, so those of you who wanted to get in there might have gotten in there to get a discount of the £19 off. Well, but whatever it is, make sure you join them on that program. It's going to be of much of a benefit to you. So it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. So in the next 8 minutes, let me see whether I can unsquash what is happening on the African continent for you. Well, when it comes to South Africa is chiding states over travel bans. That's yesterday. I did talk about that. And then Zimbabwe reimposes COVID lockdown measures. It's making the rounds there as well. And then, still on the African continent, Lesotho former prime minister has been accused of murder. Who did he murder? The wife, the ex-wife or estranged wife. The High Court in Lesotho charged former Prime Minister Thomas Thabane for the murder of his first wife in 2017. I think he hired assassins to go and perform that evil deed. Now, if you don't want the person, why don't you let the person go away? Why do you go to do that? Well. It is All Star Radio, okay? We've got 7 minutes to go, so we just have to go very fast. Hold on to something, put your seatbelts on so that you don't fall off. Now, Kenya's president praises economic performance, and Africa marks World AIDS Day with a warning. What warning is that? Well. There's been a spike in infections there as well. Star Radio UK. Well, now moving on straight to Ghana as well. The minority in parliament has warned that their majority colleagues that henceforth all parliamentary decisions will be subjected to votes, meaning both sides must have their entire membership in the House at all times. Addressing the press on Tuesday, November 30th, after the majority caucus overturned the decision to reject the 2022 budget on Friday, Minority Leader Haruna Idris warned the NPP MPs that they will have no consensus with them on critical issues going forward. The minority also stated that their colleagues on the majority side in the House acknowledged that 2022 budget was rejected on Friday, 26th November 2022. According to the minority, their actions by the majority in parliament will haunt them because they never had the number they claim to have to overturn the decision presided over by the Speaker of Parliament. As far back as Friday, we the minority rejected the 2022 budget, which reflected in votes and proceedings. I am particularly happy that even the majority leader in the submissions admitted that we were 137, but decided to walk out from a humiliating defeat that was deserving to him and his government. The constitution says a deputy speaker shall not retain his original vote while presiding, so constitutionally they were also 137. Ghanaians should expect that what they have done is also a nullity, to quote them. The precedent they are setting will haunt them in the future, the minority leader Haruna Idrisu stated at a press conference in Parliament yesterday. But, well, some investigation is supposed to go on, and that pertains to what? Ablakwa, one of the members of the minority, spokesperson for Foreign Affairs, the North Tongo MP Samuel Kujacha Ablakwa, has disclosed that the minority in Parliament is investigating a case of impersonation of Dome Kwabenya MP Sarah Adwasafo in Parliament on Tuesday. He told a radio station that on Wednesday that the minority side suspect the lady the majority side came in with was not the Dome Kwabenya MP. Following pictures and videos we are reviewing this morning, it's becoming quite apparent that as that there may be a case of impersonation with regards to the lady who was presented as Adwasafo, it's beginning to appear that she may not be Adwasafo, he said. Now, Sarah Adwasafo, who doubles as the gender minister, was granted leave by the president upon her request. The leave, which she is sought to for personal reason, was supposed to have ended on August the 31, 2021. However, it was extended since she was unable to resume and requested an extension. Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abena Dapa has been acting in her stead as a caretaker MP until further notice. She has since not been seen in Parliament until the minority alleged that someone said to be her was seen in the House to vote on the 2022 budget statement and economic policy. Her appearance has been greeted with suspicion as a section of the public believed the lady who was seen in the House was not the MP. They suspect she is a relative of the MP who resembles her. And the minority caucus is also raising eyebrows over the appearance, insisting that she may not be Adwasafo. Based on this, the North Tongo MP Okujato Ablakwa has assured that the minority will bring closure to the matter as investigations are ongoing. We are taking a very serious view of that, and I'm sure that it will be the basis for some inquiry for or going forward. He said, seriously, we are probing further, and I'm sure in subsequent hours we will make our decisions clear on what we would like to do on the matter. So whoever that person is will get to the bottom, he he added. Wow, interesting. Where will you get all this one from? Of course, from Ghana. It's from Ghana that you get that from. But well, it is All Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. But looking at the e-levy, which caused a bit of a stir when it came to the 2022 budget, and the fact that the Japan and a few other things were said to have been smuggled in. Now, do you think that it's only the minority that is saying that this 1.7% premium on e-levy transaction on every transaction, okay, that's the e-levy, is something that it's only the opposition, people who side with the opposition who are saying that we think that this is something that is going to kill us. Yesterday we had an extensive discussion on it. I had Kojodi and Felix talking about it, but it's like they could have given a nice excuse and then wrote it in, but they didn't. They didn't think things through. They thought that, we just throw that one at them and everybody will take it. But well, look at what is happening, and what do you think is going to happen next? Well, tomorrow, by the grace of God, we'll be back, and I'll be bringing you more on that front. It is All Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. We'll take a break. Once we come back, I'll take you to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. So if you don't hear from me, it's been me, Archie, and I say have a top of the day and bye-bye for now.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent.
Before I come to Prime Minister's questions, I would like to point out that the British Sign Language interpretation of proceedings is available to watch on Parliament Live TV. We now start with questions to the Prime Minister. Bima Falome.
Number one, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, today I'm wearing a purple tie in recognition of the International Day of People with Disabilities this coming Friday. In July, we published the UK's first national disability strategy to help create a society that works for everybody. Mr. Speaker, I know that the thoughts of the whole House will be with those continuing to face disruption caused by Storm Arwen. My right honourable friend, the Secretary of State for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, will update the House on the continuing response to Storm Arwen after these questions. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister and I have a shared commitment to protecting our natural environment and improving our biodiversity across the country. Indeed, it's why I'm campaigning to extend the Chilterns area of natural beauty towards the southwest of Hitchin. Would my right honourable friend set out how he plans to strengthen the protections for our countryside, whilst also ensuring that housing developments are both green and sustainable for the long term?
Prime Minister.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Speaker. I can tell my honourable friend that Natural England is considering an extension of the Chilterns area of outstanding natural beauty, and I'm sure they will listen to his passionate appeal very carefully.
We now come to the Leader of the Opposition, Keir Starmer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I join the Prime Minister in his words on disability and the victims of extreme weather? Can I also mark World AIDS Day? Extraordinary advances mean people living with HIV on effective treatment can now enjoy normal life expectancy and are no longer at risk of passing on the virus. It's within our hands to end new transmissions in the UK this decade. We must do so, Mr. Speaker. As millions of people were locked down last year, was a Christmas party thrown in Downing Street for dozens of people on December the 18th?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what I can tell the right honourable gentleman is that all guidance was followed completely during Number 10. And can I recommend to the right honourable gentleman that he does the same with his own Christmas party, which he's advertised for December the 15th, to which unaccountably he's failed to invite the deputy leader, Mr. Speaker.
Nice try, but that won't work. Mr. Speaker, the defence seems to be no rules were broken. Well, I've got the rules that were in place at the time Prime Minister of this party. They're very clear, Mr. Speaker. You must not have a work Christmas lunch or party. Does the Prime Minister really expect the country to believe that while people were banned from seeing their loved ones at Christmas last year, it was fine for him and his friends to throw a boozy party in Downing Street?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I've said what I've said about Number 10 and the events of 12 months ago, but since he asked about what we're asking the country to do this year, Mr. Speaker, which I think is frankly a more relevant consideration. The important thing to do, Mr. Speaker, is not only to follow the guidance which we have set out, but also when it comes to dealing with the Omicron variant, to make sure that, as we've said, that you wear a mask on public transport and in shops, Mr. Speaker, and that you self-isolate if you come into contact with somebody who has Omicron, Mr. Speaker. And above all, what we're doing is strengthening our measures at the borders, but particularly, and I think this would be very valuable for everybody to hear, get your booster, Mr. Speaker. I know the right honourable gentleman is eligible for his booster. I'm not going to ask him, Mr. Speaker, since I'm forbidden to ask him questions, but I hope very much that he's had it.
Well, I can tell the Prime Minister I've had mine. Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister says we should concentrate on what he's asking the country to do. We're asking the country to follow the rules. Yep. Now, the Prime Minister doesn't deny there was a Downing Street Christmas party last year. He's not denied it. He says no rules were broken. Both of those things can't be true, Prime Minister. He's taking the British public for fools. And as for following the rules, Prime Minister, it might be good just to look behind you when it comes to the question of masks. As ever, one rule for them, another rule for everybody else. Mr. Speaker, at the last election, the Prime Minister promised to build 40 new hospitals. 40 new hospitals. Page 10 of his manifesto. With waiting lists so high, Prime Minister, it's a very, very important commitment. Now, the Cabinet Office and the Treasury have checked on progress. and it's reported that they've reached a damning conclusion. I know the Chancellor would have seen that. They've concluded that the project needs a red flag because it's unachievable. Prime Minister, is that true?
Prime Minister.
No, Mr. Speaker. We're getting on with... He plays politics and asks frivolous questions, Mr. Speaker. We're getting on with delivering on the people's priorities, and we're putting record investments into the NHS on top of the 34 billion with which we began, and then the 97 billion that we put in to fight COVID. We, Mr. Speaker, are helping to build another 40 new hospitals with an injection of 36 billion pounds of investment, Mr. Speaker, which that party voted against.
Keir Starmer.
Well, this is strange, Mr. Speaker, because the government hasn't been denying the reports about the red flag, and they haven't done since, but now the Prime Minister does. There's obviously some confusion on these benches over whether the Cabinet Office and the Treasury think he's on course to break yet another promise, this time on new building of hospitals. So he can clear this up this afternoon. If he's so confident in his answer, why doesn't he publish the progress report in full and let us all see it?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, what we're doing is not only building 14 new hospitals, but we are also, and it's incredible that we've been able to keep going throughout the pandemic, Mr. Speaker, but we're also making record investments in our, yes it is, and we're also making record investments in our NHS. We have more doctors, more nurses working in our NHS than at any time in the history of that magnificent organisation. And rather than running down what they're trying to do, Mr. Speaker, and casting doubt on their efforts, he should get behind them, and he should support our booster campaign.
Well, Mr. Speaker, there we have it. Prime Minister, I deny my hospital building programme has been flagged red as unachievable, but I don't have the confidence to publish the report. Mr. Speaker, the more we look at this promise, the murkier it gets. I've got a document here sent by the Department of Health to the NHS. It's called the New Hospital Programme Communications Playbook. I kid you not. It offers advice, Mr. Speaker, to make it easier to talk about the programme. Now, you might think that everyone knows what a new hospital is. I certainly thought I knew what a new hospital is before I read this document. But this guide instructs everybody to describe refurbishments and alterations on existing hospitals as new hospitals. We can all agree that refurbishments are a very good thing, but they're not new hospitals. So, Prime Minister, how many of the 40 are fix-up jobs on existing hospitals, and how many are actually the new hospitals he promised?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, you obviously don't always go around building on greenfield sites. What we are doing is massive. You rebuild hospitals, and that is what we have said for the last 2.5 years, Mr. Speaker. It is the biggest programme of hospital building this country has ever undertaken. It's being made possible by this people's government, and it's in addition to what we're doing with the community diagnostics hubs, Mr. Speaker, and it's in addition to what we're doing in investing in our NHS. And I said it once, but I'll say it again. They had the opportunity to vote for that 36 billion. They turned it down, Mr. Speaker. We're getting on with the people's priorities. They're playing politics.
And no wonder so many Tory donors paid so much for that wallpaper last year. It probably told me it's building a new flat. It's the same old story from this Prime Minister, week in, week out, defending the indefensible and broken promises. His mates were found to be corrupt. He tried to get them off the hook. Downing Street throws parties during lockdown. He says, not a problem. He promised there'd be no tax rises. Then he put up tax. He promised to be a rail revolution in the north. Then he cancelled the trains. He promised no one would have to sell their home for care. Then along came his working class dementia tax. He promised 40 new hospitals, and even if you count the paint jobs, his own watchdog says he can't deliver it. Isn't this the truth, Mr. Speaker, that any promises from this Prime Minister aren't worth the manifesto paper they're written on?
Mr. Speaker, the right honourable gentleman dribbles on irrelevantly about wallpaper and parties, playing politics. And by the way, on that, I'm told that when the Deputy Leader and Shadow Secretary of State for the Future of Work was told that she wasn't invited, she denounced it. She denounced it as idiotic, childish, and pathetic. Mr. Speaker, they're getting on with factional. They're getting on with factional infighting. We are delivering for the people of this country. Today, cutting tax for the lowest paid people in this country. As a result of our universal credit changes, 1.9 million families getting £1,000 more in their pay packets this year. The biggest programme of rail infrastructure this century, Mr. Speaker. 3 new high-speed lines, and we're fixing social care. They have no plan whatever, Mr. Speaker. And don't forget, their resort to absolutely every problem is either to take this country back into lockdown or to open up to uncontrolled immigration, Mr. Speaker. That is their approach. We are delivering on the people's priorities, and we have more people in work now as a result of the balanced and proportionate approach that we are taking than we had before the pandemic began. And if we listened to him, Mr. Speaker, if we listened to Captain Hindsight, we'd all still be in lockdown. And that is the truth.
I want to hear to Mr. Rosendale. If you don't, come on, Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister will know that we will not be able to stop the endless waves of illegal migrants crossing the English Channel until we break free from the constraints of the European Convention on Human Rights, which impedes our ability to tackle this tragic situation and protects even the most violent criminals from being deported. So, will the Prime Minister agree with me that it is time to take back control and fulfil our manifesto commitment in 2015 to get rid of Labour's Human Rights Act and bring in a British Bill of Rights?
Prime Minister. Yes, Mr. Speaker, I thank my right honourable friend, but we will certainly review the human rights system. But in the meantime, there is something we can do, or we can all do, on next Tuesday and Wednesday, Mr. Speaker, because our Borders Bill is coming back to this House after long gestation, and it gives us the power to make the distinction at last between illegal and legal migrants to this country. It gives us the power gives Border Force the power to turn people back from this at sea, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, it gives us the power. It gives us the power to screen people and send them for screening overseas rather than in this country. Now, will that I'm not going to ask them, actually, and tell them. It'd be a great thing, Mr. Speaker, if the party opposite backed our Borders Bill and undermined the criminals.
Youngest MP, Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I associate myself with the remarks of the Prime Minister on disability, and of course our thoughts are very much with all of those that are recovering from Starr Urban, and with the Leader of the Opposition. Of course, we commemorate World AIDS Day, and I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, that the thoughts of yourself in this House will be with the family and friends of Siobhan Cathegan, the Scotland rugby player, aged 26, who unfortunately died over the course of the weekend, having had won 19 caps for Scotland. Mr. Speaker, it is deeply regrettable that once again that we're forced to spend so much time in this House discussing the Prime Minister's misconduct. But when the person in charge so blatantly breaks the rules, it needs to be talked about. Last Christmas, the Prime Minister hosted a packed party in Downing Street, an event that broke lockdown rules. Rules that everyone else was expected to follow. Now, the Prime Minister might be denying it, but I've spoken to the Mirror newspaper this morning, and they are confirming what happened, and they have legal advice on potential illegality. At a time when public health messaging is so vital, how are people possibly expected to trust a Prime Minister when he thinks it's one rule for him and one rule for everybody else?
Prime Minister. Well, Mr. Speaker, I think they should concert their line of attack more closely. I've said before that he's talking total nonsense. I think he would have been better off, frankly, saying something about the victims of Storm Arwen in Scotland and what we want to do. I'm afraid if I didn't hear it, he was drowned out by his supporters. But I think what we need to do is work together, the government of the UK working with the Scottish authorities to help those people get their power back, and that's what we're doing.
Ian Blackford. This graceful answer, and clearly the Prime Minister can't even listen because I mentioned Storm Arwen. Mr. Speaker, the real reason why all this matters is because we find ourselves at another very difficult moment in this pandemic. This is at a time where leadership matters, when truth matters, and when trust really matters. Only this morning, leaked sage advice confirms that the UK government's current international travel restrictions will identify significantly fewer cases. That is exactly the same advice that the Prime Minister received from the First Ministers of Scotland and Wales on Monday, and he has ignored that advice. Since then, other countries, like Ireland and the US, are moving rapidly on international travel to protect their people. So will the Prime Minister finally convene a four-nation Cobra meeting to tighten travel restrictions, or will he continue to ignore the Scottish Government, the Welsh Government and his own sage advisers and imperil the health of the public of these islands?
Prime Minister.
I thank the right honourable gentleman, and of course we want to work closely with him, and there will be abundant opportunities today and the weeks ahead to concert our activity. But he's simply wrong in what he says about the steps that the government has taken to prevent the seeding of this variant from abroad. This country was actually the first to respond, Mr. Speaker, and for the 10 countries that are most likely to seed new variant, to seed Omicron in this country, we've put them on the red list, Mr. Speaker. So they have not only pre-departure tests, but they are also quarantined, Mr. Speaker. And I have to say that he is not right in what he says, and every other country in the world, 100%, I don't mind if he shouts, Mr. Speaker, I will tell him very calmly and quietly, 100% of the passengers arriving from every other country in the world must take a PCR test, and they cannot get out of quarantine, Mr. Speaker, unless they test negative. Those are balanced and proportionate measures designed to protect the British people from the Omicron variant, and that's the right approach to take.
John Penrose.
Mr. Speaker, Britain has some of the most unaffordable childcare in the developed world, which reduces opportunities for working families, particularly single parents, deepens gender pay gaps and makes levelling up much harder. So will the Prime Minister meet with me to discuss the proposal in my just published policy paper, Poverty Trapped, for an immediate review to design out these internationally uncompetitive costs while still delivering a safe and enriching level of care for our children too?
Prime Minister.
I thank my right honourable friend. He is completely right about the importance of childcare and the transformative influence it can have, and that's why we've spent £3.5 billion in each of the last 3 years on free childcare entitlements, particularly for the most disadvantaged. But I'm always happy to meet my right honourable friend and to discuss his ideas further.
Ed Davey.
Speaker, farmers across our country are crucial to our nation's prosperity, shown once again through the pandemic. But many are now on the brink. Farmers across the country in villages like Hodnett, Baschurch, Woodseaves and countless others are about to see their payments cut by at least 5% starting this very month. The Prime Minister promised a new support system rewarding more sustainable farming. Yet in the meantime, he seems prepared to see many British farms go bankrupt. There's an easy solution, Mr. Speaker. Stop cutting the current system's essential payments until the new scheme is fully rolled out. Will the Prime Minister do that and help our struggling farmers before it's too late?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think British food and farming does an absolutely outstanding job, and it is growing the whole time. Last night I met representatives of the UK food and farming industry, which we support and we continue to support with the same level of payments, Mr. Speaker. But what we're also doing is opening up new opportunities for them around the world, and I can tell him that in every single embassy now there is a dedicated expert on supporting UK food and farming exports to the rest of the world, which supports 4 million jobs in this country, and earns this country £21 billion of revenue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. More needs to be done to tackle the people trafficking gangs that exploit migrants across Europe, promising to get into this country. But does the Prime Minister agree with me that it is totally unacceptable that companies like Facebook allow those smugglers to offer their services on their platforms, not only routes into the country, but also selling them forged British papers in order to aid their access? Does he agree with me that when this House passes the online safety bill, we'll have the power to do more to make companies like Facebook take down content that promotes illegal activity?
Minister.
I thank the right honourable gentleman. He's absolutely right that too many of these gangs are using social media, and that's why the online harms bill is so important, and it will indeed be of assistance to us in taking down that kind of material.
Emma Hardy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Women have been left with internal damage and pain that they describe as being like razor blades inside them. Many have lost their careers and some have even lost their lives. It is impossible to know exactly how many women are left suffering. So why will the Prime Minister not give these mesh-damaged women the redress that they were recommended in the Cumberledge report?
Prime Minister.
I'm very grateful to her, and she raises an extremely important issue, and one that I know has caused a phenomenon that has caused huge distress to many, many women in this country. We published the Cumberledge report. If there's anything more that we can do, I'm certainly willing to look at it. I'm grateful to her for raising it.
Brendan Clark-Smith.
The levelling up agenda has already changed so many areas of our country for the better. And in my constituency, in Worksop particularly, our town centre is in desperate need of regeneration and to finally solve our flooding problems. But unfortunately, my council in Bassetlaw missed the deadline for the latest round of grants.
Labour on council.
What can this government do to help support areas like mine who have struggled with their bids in order to make sure they are successful the next time around?
I thank you I thank my honourable friend very much. Well, the step number one is to vote out those dozy Labour councillors, Mr. Speaker. But I can tell him and I thank him for the excellent representation he gives to Bassetlaw, Mr. Speaker. And I can tell him the second round of bidding for the Levelling Up Fund will open in the spring of next year.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Between 2010 and 2019, West Midlands Police lost 2,221 officers, whilst the force should receive an additional 1,200 new recruits by 2023 via the Police Uplift programme. That still leaves a shortfall of 1,000 officers. This lack of frontline police has left the force stretched and under significant pressure, with officers actually telling me there are simply insufficient resources to investigate every crime. Will the Prime Minister commit to providing West Midlands Police with a fairer funding deal to ensure the force can return officer numbers back to 2010 levels?
Mr. Speaker, I thank her for drawing attention, and I thank her. I thank the police officers in the West Midlands, but I thank her for drawing attention to what we're doing to increase the number of police officers, because we are on track. Of our 20,000 that I pledged on the steps of Downing Street 2.5 years ago, Mr. Speaker, we've already recruited another 11,000. And I'm proud to say that our police officer workforce is more representative of the whole of this country, with more women, more people from ethnic minorities than ever before.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week, the Chief Minister of Gibraltar, the Honourable Fabian Picardo, appeared before the European Scrutiny Committee and gave evidence about the continuing negotiations between Gibraltar and the European Union on their future relationship. During the course of his evidence, the Chief Minister made clear that his ambition was that Gibraltar's future should be, as he put it, British, British, British. Yeah. Can my right honourable friend say what the government is doing to support the First Minister to achieve that aim, and in particular to exclude any role for the European Court of Justice?
Yeah. Prime Minister.
I thank my right honourable friend, and frankly I can't really improve on the verdict of my friend Fabian Picardo, the Chief Minister of Gibraltar. Gibraltar is British, 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 and will remain so. And by the way, Mr. Speaker, I see no future role for the European Court of Justice.
Christine Jardine.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My constituency of Edinburgh West has some of the most polluted streets in our country. An estimated 1 in 29 deaths in Edinburgh is related to air pollution, and we don't meet WHO guidelines. So will the Prime Minister meet with me and discuss whether his government can support my private member's bill to tackle that issue, bring us into line and let us all breathe a little easier?
I thank her for what the issue she mentions. It's incredibly important, but that's why we're moving now to all-out electric vehicles across the whole of the country, faster than any other European country, and our clean air strategy has been praised by the World Health Organization as an example for the rest of the world to follow. And we'll be setting out our evidence-based approach and the targets that we're setting. But of course, I'll be very happy to make sure that she meets the relevant minister to set out her case.
David Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last month, the drug company Pfizer announced a successful trial of a new treatment called Paxlovid. The trial showed the drug to be roughly 90% successful at stopping death or better. The vaccine strategy today is an enormous success, but it leads to a never-ending biological arms race against the mutating virus. As a supplement to the vaccine strategy, this treatment will allow governments around the world to avoid the need for future emergency restrictions. What's the government doing in the short term to secure supplies of this revolutionary treatment, and in the long term to enable factories to be built here to produce it in Britain?
Prime Minister.
I thank him very much, and he's spot on. Of course, the rollout of Paxlovid within the UK, within the NHS, will depend on approval by the MHRA, but the government has, as a precaution, already invested in hundreds of thousands of courses of that drug.
Jessica Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Wales has 11% of the UK rail network, yet only receives 2% of UK rail enhancement funding, and as reported in Wales Online, will be denied billions of consequential funding from HS2. So having under-delivered on rail in the north, having under-delivered on rail in Wales, why should anyone trust this government to deliver on its promises?
I'm afraid she's completely failed to look at what Sir Peter Hendy set out in his Union Connectivity Review, a fantastic agenda for change and improvement, particularly in Wales, and particularly on the North Welsh corridor, where I think the railway links deserve to be improved and will be improved under this government.
Tom Randall.
Mr. Speaker, getting investment into Gedling is important. And the previous PMQs, I put aside my political differences with Labour-run Gedling Borough Council to champion its Levelling Up Fund bid, which, like other funding bids it's made, was sadly unsuccessful. So does my right honourable friend agree with me it's important that councils like Gedling now take stock and learn from this experience? And can you confirm that help from government will be available to do that, so that in future, hopefully, Gedling and other councils will be able to make more successful bids?
Yes, of course, Mr. Speaker. We're very happy to help Gedling and other Labour-run councils to get their act together where necessary, and to put those bids in. And just to remind him, more Levelling Up Fund bids come due in the spring of next year, and I wish Gedling well in their future bids.
Imran Hussain.
Mr. Speaker, my grandfather, along with thousands of others, came to this country 70 years ago, working 7 days a week in squalid conditions to help rebuild this country. Yet now the Home Secretary's Nationality and Borders Bill means she can revoke our British citizenship and deport us for even the most minor wrongdoings. Given the government's and the Home Office's horrific track record with their treatment of minorities, the hostile environment and the Windrush scandals, let me ask the Prime Minister the burning question that is now on the lips of everyone from a BAME background right across the country. When is he coming for me?
I think that the honourable gentleman opposite should look at the Conservative front bench today, and he should withdraw what he's just said, Mr. Speaker. He should withdraw it. Because what he said is absolutely shameful, and he knows full well the Borders Bill does nothing of the kind. It helps us to fight the evil gangs who are predating on people's willingness to cross the Channel in unseaworthy boats, and I would have thought, Mr. Speaker, that a sensible Labour Party would support it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This Saturday is Small Business Saturday, and I'm proud to represent some fantastic local businesses like K's of Grantham, the Stamford Notebook Company, and the Bourne Bookshop. This government has provided unprecedented support throughout the pandemic. Can the Prime Minister assure me that his commitment to our high streets will continue long into the future?
Prime Minister. I thank my honourable friend for all the support he gives to Grantham and Stamford, and I can tell him that Small Business Saturday is receiving huge support from the government. We had a kind of festival last night to celebrate it in Downing Street, and I encourage everybody to get out this Saturday, Mr. Speaker, and safely with your mask on, Mr. Speaker, when you're in your shop. But that should be no inhibition on people buying in their shops up and down this country.
Final question, Ian Byrne.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Next week, the 97th victim of the Hillsborough tragedy will receive the freedom of Liverpool. Andrew Devine passed away earlier this year, aged 55, having defied the odds to survive the injuries he sustained at Hillsborough, aged 22. A coroner's inquest in Liverpool in July ruled that he was unlawfully killed as a result of the disaster, making him the 97th victim. Following my tabling last week of an early day motion on Hillsborough and a national curriculum, will the Prime Minister agree to meet with me to discuss the rollout of the Hillsborough Real Truth Legacy Project, including the addition of the Hillsborough disaster to the national curriculum, and help to consign to history the narrative of lies and smears peddled by some elements of the media and establishment over the last 32 years through the power of education?
Prime Minister.
I thank the honourable gentleman for the powerful point that he has just made, because even though 32 years have passed since that devastating tragedy, I know that the wounds remain very raw in Liverpool. And what I can say to him is that the government is committed, as he knows, to continuing engagement with the families of the bereaved, and to making sure that the lessons from that tragedy continue to be properly learned, and that the victims of Hillsborough are never forgotten, Mr. Speaker. But I'm also happy to make sure that he meets the relevant minister to take forward an agenda I think is shared by people up and down this country.
We're now going to come to the statements. Those who wish to leave, can they please leave quickly and quietly? Yeah, don't worry. All right, Tom, thank you. We got through. Rosie, put that phone down. I know, she's got the phone on. She's not answering her phone. Right, we now come to the ministerial statement from the Business, Energy, Industrial Strategy. I now call the Secretary of State, Professor Quatine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With your permission, sir, I'd like to make a statement on the electricity disruptions as a result of Storm Arwen, and to inform the House on how we are working to ensure power is restored to people's homes. Storm Arwen brought severe weather, including high winds of up to 100 miles an hour, rain, snow and ice, causing the most severe disruption since 2005. Many people across the country, but particularly in northern England and Scotland, have been without power for a number of days. 3 people have tragically lost their lives in incidents related to the storm. My thoughts, and I'm sure the thoughts of the whole House, are with those people and their loved ones. I also want to reassure people who are still without power
who are exhausted, who are worried, and who are angry that we are all working incredibly hard to make sure that their normal conditions return. We have incredibly dedicated teams of engineers who have been working all round the clock to restore the network. The scale of the restoration effort engineers are facing is enormous. The weekend saw exceptionally strong winds, as I said, of almost 100 miles an hour, which have brought large trees and debris down onto power lines. For example, in central Scotland, wind speeds like this have only been seen twice in the last 25 years. And of course, to add to this complex situation, much of the damage is in remote and hard to reach places. I'm glad to say that over 95% of those affected by the storm, over 935,000 customers, have had their power supply restored so far. And I'd like to thank the engineers for their hard work and perseverance. However, there are still 30,000 as of 8 o'clock this morning who are without power. And the specific areas most severely affected are the Wear Valley, surrounding Eastgate and Northumberland, the North Peak District, and the South Lake areas, as well as Aberdeenshire and Perthshire in Scotland. Today, my right honourable friend, the Energy Minister, is on the ground in Berwick to see firsthand the impact from storm disruption. Yesterday, I spoke with the CEOs of Northern Power Grid, the Electricity North West, and Scottish and Southern Energy Networks to seek assurance that restoration is happening as fast as is humanly possible. I am satisfied that these operators are sharing their resources through mutual aid agreements and through putting engineers to the worst affected areas. And I'm extremely grateful to emergency responders who have also been working very hard to keep people as comfortable as possible, providing torches, blankets, and other necessities. Also, to sorting out alternative accommodation where necessary. Officials in my department are monitoring the situation very closely and are in constant contact with network operators to ensure that customers can be reconnected as quickly as possible. For people still experiencing issues and difficulties, or people who need further support, they should contact their electricity network operator by dialing 105 from their landline or mobile phone. This will automatically route them to the right operator based on their physical location. People are also eligible for compensation that whose details they can find on the Ofgem website. For those who continue to be without power, I know their primary question will be, when will power be restored? I have been assured that the overwhelming majority of those still without power today will be restored in the next day or two. I have asked operators to provide named contacts for MPs, and I will be sharing those with colleagues. This has been an extremely difficult week for many of our constituents, and I want to thank them for their fortitude in the face of this extreme weather condition. When the power is back up and back to normal, we, of course, in BEIS will be looking at the lessons that we can learn from Storm Arwen in order to build an even more resilient power system in the future.
Now come to Shadow Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I thank the Secretary of State for his statement? And let me, first of all, join him in sending my condolences to the victims who've tragically died during Storm Arwen and to their families. And I also want to express my sympathy to all of those who've lost power and have suffered during this crisis. I know from my own constituency in 2019, when we had terrible flooding, the impacts of extreme weather and the traumatic effects it has on people and communities. And I also want to join him in paying tribute to the many engineers, volunteers and emergency service workers who have worked tirelessly to step up and help during this crisis. Mr. Speaker, we've heard heartbreaking stories of outages leaving residents without power, water and light. And there are also, and I want to ask him about this in a moment, there are also many reports, which you will have heard, of residents being unable to get proper information about what is happening and people waiting for hours to get through on phone lines. So on behalf of the many who've suffered, I want to ask him a few questions. Does he believe there is enough support for the most vulnerable on the ground? while the power outages continue, including the use of emergency generators? And has he given thought to calling in the army if necessary to help with that process? He said that power would be restored in the next day or two for the overwhelming majority. Can he say how many people he estimates will be left without power, and how long it will take to restore power for them? And then I want to probe him a little bit further on the question of learning lessons, which he said at the end of his statement, because after terrible storms in 2013, Mr. Speaker, the stormiest winter in 40 years that saw hundreds of thousands lose their power, it was said at the time that lessons would be learned. And I want to just probe him on three areas. First, on communications and information, the Science and Technology Committee recommended that the single national emergency number was put in place, and the purpose of that number was that people would not just know who to call, but could get information promptly. And as I say, the calling of 105, which he mentioned, there are multiple reports of it causing enormous frustration to people and them not getting the information. Can he say what his assessment is of whether people have been able to get the information, and if not, why not? Secondly, and he drew attention to this, Ofgem recommended in the wake of those storms that district network operators should share resources and personnel in the event of such a crisis. He says it has happened, but is he satisfied it has happened right across the DNO network and has happened at the scale that is required? I'd like him to answer that and just give us some further information. And third, after 2015, there was clear sense of the vulnerabilities about the overhead power network, and there was agreement that the networks would survey the vulnerabilities that they faced and act. Is he satisfied at this stage that this has happened? Because the continued vulnerability of power lines seems all too apparent. And Mr. Speaker, that's where I want to end, because faced with the climate crisis, extreme weather events will sadly become all the more common in the future. We cannot be this vulnerable in the future. There is real concern that some lessons haven't been learned, and on this occasion we must face up to those lessons and learn them.
Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, of course, as far as the emergency of and the situation with regard to climate change, he and I have very similar views on this, and clearly Storm Arwen was an event the like of which we haven't seen for certainly 16 years since the records of the DNOs starts, and we have to be prepared for similarly extreme, difficult weather conditions in the future. We have to make sure that our system is resilient in that eventuality. In terms of his specific questions, we do have the 105 line, which is the one number that people are being asked to call. It has been centralised. I think he's quite right to say that there was initial pressure. From my understanding was that over the weekend it took people up to 2 hours to get through, which was clearly unacceptable. But of course the storm hit, and the companies didn't have the communication networks, the call centres, the people there to deal with the situation. Today, and certainly yesterday when I spoke to the CEOs of the companies, that waiting time had been reduced to 10 minutes to a quarter of an hour. That's what I was told. But of course, if people are finding difficulties, they should definitely get in touch with their MPs and with government, and also the district, the distributors. On his second point, the new SAC is a very, very effective means by which the generating companies can share and deploy engineers across different networks. And that, I'm told by the CEOs of the companies, is being very effective. But I will have more calls today with local resilience leaders to make sure that what the generating companies are saying is actually matched by what people are experiencing on the ground. Because, of course, there can obviously, as he well knows, be a mismatch between the two.
Andrew Power.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And can I echo the words of my right honourable friend in thanking all of those in our emergency services and indeed the local authority workers that went out over the weekend and have been doing so much to support our communities across the United Kingdom that have been affected, and actually indeed the people in local businesses who have opened their doors to look after those people who are more vulnerable and needing support. Places like the Five Farms in Braemar, where temperatures dropped below zero over the weekend and they were lost without power and water. But Lunfannon, Crathy and indeed Creggar from my constituency do remain without power and don't even have access to a temporary generator. So I was wondering if he could expand on his discussions with SSEN and what discussions he might have had with the Scottish Government to see what the two governments in this country might be able to do to speed up the response and to support those people who are going to their 5th day now without any power, heating or electricity in general.
Sarah State.
My honourable friend will accept that it is an extreme situation we're in. He will also know that I've spoken to Mr. Alistair Phillips-Davis, who's the head of SSE, and he and I, as well as colleagues in the Scottish Government, are apprised of the situation. In terms of generators, they are distributing generators that can actually take up the slack when important power infrastructure is down. But it's an ongoing situation. I'll be very happy to engage with him in the next few hours.
SNP spokesperson Dave Dugan.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker, and I'd like to thank the Minister for advance sight of his statement. This storm was of incredible strength when it hit us on Friday night in the northeastern parts of Scotland and England, being especially in the full face of the gale. SSE's storm models predicted between 60 and 100 high-voltage faults, in actual fact have sustained over 500 high-voltage faults with over 1,000 instances of damage to their network. Sustained winds with gusts of in excess of 90 miles an hour and unusually from the northeast, affecting trees which don't normally have to yield to those winds, resulting in the colossal tree damage to the network. Mr Speaker, I wish to pay tribute to the fortitude and resolve of the many people facing severe hardship on day 5 without power, some of whom won't get it back today or tomorrow. It's a tremendous disruption to the way that we live today, and they're to be in our thoughts at this very challenging time for them. Indeed, as of 9 p.m. last night, 9,500 customers remain cut off from their supply, including 5,700 in Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire, 1,500 in Murray, 1,400 in my Angus constituency and 570 in Perthshire. This enduring lack of power would test anybody's resolve, Mr Speaker, yet it's telling that people remain mindful of the extraordinary efforts of engineers and support staff of SSE and their industry partners to restore supplies, and power has been restored to 118,000 customers. The UK Government has, I understand, said that it's on standby to provide further assistance to the Scottish Government, but like the Deputy First Minister in Scotland, I'm a little bit sceptical as to what that is. So I'd be grateful if the Minister could elaborate on what that assistance would be, and if it is financial assistance, is it new money or recycled money? I was in touch with SSE again this morning, and they have assured me that they have engineers from across their network working in the North East to repair supplies, and also engineers from other networks sharing DNO resources in the enormous recovery effort, which is hampered by the prolonged scale of the damage, compounded by the locations of the damage and the types of equipment that's been damaged. I wish to place on record, finally, in closing, Mr Speaker, my thanks to the engineers working in all weathers to restore power supplies to Angus, and to the Council and other members of the Local Resilience Partnership who have done so much to help restore supplies and in the humanitarian welfare provision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I welcome the honourable gentleman's remarks and pay tribute, as he does, not only to the fortitude of many of his constituents and other people in Scotland, but also to the tireless efforts of the engineers, the voluntary staff, the DNO, in this instance SSE, in terms of trying to deal with what is, as he recognised, an unprecedented situation. He was quite right, the honourable gentleman was quite right to point out that it wasn't only the speed, the high velocity, but also the direction of the winds that posed a huge challenge. He will know that I speak to counterparts across the border in the devolved government, devolved administration very frequently. In fact, I was on a panel with the Cabinet Secretary only yesterday, and this is something that we are talking about all the time. We haven't specified the amount of money, if there is going to be any. I don't think we've reached that conversation, but we're in constant dialogue with his colleagues in Holyrood.
Dr. Neil Hudson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Areas in my constituency of Penrith and the Border and further afield have been hard hit by this power crisis. Areas like Alston, Garrigal, Nenthead, Kirby Stephen, Matterdale and North Stainmore, some of which have been restored, but some are still without power. Will my right honourable friend join me in thanking the engineers at Electricity North West, the emergency services, councils and volunteers who have been working so hard at this time? And can he assure my constituents and further afield that everything is being done across government to support them, help restore power and put in place contingency measures?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honourable friend will know that this is a matter of very grave concern and focus for the government. He will also appreciate that Electricity North West has done a reasonable job in restoring, I think, 95% of the people affected. But clearly we want to work harder to make sure that about 6,000 people, 7,000 people who are still off the grid can get their power as soon as possible.
Tim Farron.
Speaker, I also want to send my condolences and pay respect to those who lost their lives in these awful circumstances, in particular to the family of the man who passed away in Ambleside on Friday. At least 7,000 homes in my constituency have been without power for between 3 and 5 nights, and I am immensely proud of the way that people in our community have stood up to support one another, to support their neighbours. They know who they are. I am also grateful to those working on the ground for Electricity North West to try and fix this problem as soon as possible. But thousands are still without power in my communities and elsewhere in Cumbria, and they feel forgotten. And they're not, by many of us here, I hope. Killington, Garsdale, parts of Coniston, Orist Head, Aside, High Newton, Low Newton, Witherslack, Hincaster, Lamring, Bowston, Hutton Roof, Crook, Outgate, Haverthwaite, Sparkbridge, Backbarrow and outskirts of Windermere and other places as well are now facing a 6th night without power. Some are being told they will not have that connection fixed until the 8th of December, this time next week. The hardship caused, particularly to the elderly and other who are vulnerable, is unthinkable, which is why it's massively disappointing that it took until Wednesday for a minister to come to this House to address this issue. But it is not too late for the government to act. So I would ask the minister to do the following. Will he today task the army to provide the support for the engineers on the ground in Cumbria to speed up fixing the problem? Will he then use the army as well to ensure that the most vulnerable are contacted and moved into emergency accommodation today? And will he also ensure that every affected community in Cumbria is given generators to provide at least a temporary fix today so that no one has to spend a 6th night in the cold?
Yeah. So we are obviously contacting local resilience forums. We're listening to them and actually getting guidance from them as to how best to tackle the situation on the ground. You'll also appreciate that ENW, Electricity North West, have already provided 150 generators, and we'll be asking them, tasking them to see what more can be done to alleviate the extreme stress and challenging situation that many of his constituents I know are facing.
Richard Holden.
Speaker, and I thank the Minister for his statement today. Storm Arwen has left thousands of my constituents without power for several days, but what's been really heartening is to see how the people in my local towns and villages have really come together, particularly in Upper Weardale, Eastgate, St John's Chapel, but also in places like Quebec, Winhill, Maidenlaw, and I've also got a secondary school which is still without power. Several hundred children not getting the education that they need. I'm really delighted that the Energy Minister is in North West Durham today, and I thank him for his visit and what he's doing up there. Indeed, he's contacted several local businesses on my behalf. We've got a couple of things I'd like to raise with the Minister. First of all, one of my rural surgeries has lost £10,000 worth of vaccines for the flu jab, and this will impact on their ability to roll out. Could he speak to the Department of Health for me and see if he can ensure that they get that supply reimbursed as quickly as possible due to the electricity going down and their fridges going off? Secondly, there are some very isolated communities who've been told that it may be a very long time before they can get full electricity. Can he do everything possible to ensure that they are reconnected well before Christmas? And finally, can he ensure that the government responds to positively to any request from the local resilience forum, including sending in the army if necessary and at their request? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, he will know that I'm very keen to engage with local resilience fora and really hear from them what the best way to proceed is. He will also appreciate that we're incredibly conscious of the ramifying effects of this storm particularly in regard to health and education, and that's something which he knows that I'm taking up within the government. And of course, finally, the isolated communities point is something which I take extremely seriously. I will be looking at this on a daily basis, and I think being without power until Christmas is simply unacceptable. I'll say that very publicly, and I'll do everything I can to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Liz Twist.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the Minister for his statement, but there still remain in my constituency pockets of people without energy, and that includes people in Ryton, Blaydon, Wylam, the part that's in my constituency, and Victoria, Garesfield, Colburns, Barmore, all places that are still without energy some 6 days on. And people are really anxious and finding it extremely difficult to get through to find out information. So will you assure me that we will have direct lines and contacts for Members of Parliament so that we can get that detailed information to tell our constituents? And I'd just like to thank as well the workers who've been out there in all kinds of weather trying to reconnect people.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the Honourable Lady is absolutely right to point out that there needs to be a way in which members, honourable and right honourable members of this House, can engage not only with the DNOs but with constituents on this. And that's something that I will be looking to. I picked up with the CEO of Northern Power Grid, which I think is the DNO relevant to her constituency, precisely on this point about communications. And he said to me that having had a slow start because this thing was completely unprecedented on the weekend, they are working very, very hard to make sure that communications are effective. And also I just want to reinforce the point I just made to my honourable friend, that we will do everything we can to make sure that the generating of electricity happens long before the dates that are being bandied about as a time when this should be up and running.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the Secretary of State for his statement and for meeting with me yesterday to discuss the situation in High Peak, where thousands of homes have been left without power since the weekend, including places like Buxton, Chapel-on-the-Frith, Wash, Bagshaw, Sparrow Pit, Wormhill, Peak Forest, Chinley, Hayfield and more. I want to put on record my thanks to those engineers at Electricity North West, as well as those at Derbyshire County Council, the Lowlands Resilience Forum, Emergency Services and our amazing mountain rescue teams for working not just to reconnect power,